Women remain underrepresented in South Africa's financial sector despite the notable increase in their numbers. The World Economic Forum's 2021 Global Gender Gap Report estimates that it will now take up to 135 years to close the gender gap. Female leaders in the industry say common misconceptions about women need to be overcome in order to allow for a more inclusive and evolved financial sector. And they say skills like empathy, strategic foresight, patience, and effective communication are one of that makes women valuable assets to their organizations. And for more on this now, we are joined by CEO of Prescient Management Company, Gibbs, and she joins us now via our video link. Kim, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, you are in the financial sector. Maybe, just give us an insight. What is it like to be a woman in the financial sector in South Africa?
Thank you, Mbali. Well, that's quite a sort of multi-edged question. I must say it's incredibly difficult to be a woman in this sort of sector, but in the same time, it's actually incredibly empowering, actually being a woman, and especially being in sort of more of an executive position, being able to actually mentor and influence and help other women. So it's a very exciting time to be a woman in this industry where it is growing. There is definitely an awareness of needing more women in senior roles. So it's really great. It's a good time to be in the industry.
Do you feel that, despite your capabilities as a woman in your sector, that you constantly need to prove yourself? Because one would say you are in a very male-dominated space.
Definitely, and I think you can see by the pay gap, the biggest probably differential and why there's such a large gender pay gap is actually because of the lack of women represented in senior roles. So it's definitely, I think that's why we really do struggle. But at the same time, I think women do suffer from what you'd almost say is an imposter syndrome. I think you do tend to almost second guess yourself. You do always feel like, can I do this right? Does anyone believe me? Do they take me seriously? Do they just think I should be a stay-at-home mom and not actually doing this role? You've studied for so many years and proven yourself, but do you actually really get taken seriously? Do you really have that seat at the table?
And, just that nugget there, you have proven yourself. And when it comes to the challenges being faced by women in your industry, the big thing that comes out, like you pointed to, is indeed that pay gap. Why would you say that it's still difficult for women, to be paid equally as their counterparts for doing the exact same job?
I think probably at your most levels, women are being paid the same. But I think if you take an overall average of the industry, just the sheer amount of men in the sort of more senior executive roles, it will always be skewed. And I think I'm definitely seeing good trends where that's definitely, if you do see a man and a woman in certain positions, they are being paid equally. But there's definitely still this misconception that I think women feel like they can't apply for certain roles, or they can't sort of push through and actually put their hand up for a promotion. They feel like they maybe don't have the skill set to do it or the confidence to go there. And whereas actually they are capable of doing it. And I think it is just for women to have that confidence to say, actually, you know what, I can do this role. And I can actually have that balance with my life at home and my family and still actually achieve at work.
And looking at that World Economic Forum Gender Gap report from 2021 saying that it will take at least 135 years to close that gap in your sector, the finance sector. How does it make you feel? 135 years?
It feels like we've got a lot of work to do. And I think as women in the finance industry, I think the key, what we need to use our positions is to help. There's a really great trend of we're seeing women coming through, especially in tertiary education. It's definitely, probably if you look at most of the finance classes, it's almost skewed towards having more women and men. So I think our role as women in finance is to really speak up within our organizations, making sure that gender pay gap and diversity is really addressed. So if you see something that you don't feel is right, or if you feel like you could do more for women, it's actually, that's our duty as women in finance to really help that.
And Kim, you keep on touching a lot about misconceptions, for women in the finance sector. Would you say that, now, because we are better equipped than in the past and more women are working in the finance sector, would you say that there is a willing environment to change some of these, misconceptions around women in the finance sector?
Definitely, and I think it goes for there are some organizations that maybe aren't, but there definitely are organizations where the sort of work-life balance is a lot more flexible for women. So women are able to actually put up their hands to do roles that they maybe have never been able to do before because they feel like they don't have that balance. So I definitely think things are changing in that regard.
And what is your advice to women in your sector, or for women who would like, to fulfill a career in the financial sector, particularly when you look at the challenges facing women?
I think confidence is key. So I think you need to also find a mentor early and find women in organization, or maybe women that work in finance, and have the confidence to speak to them, to ask for good advice. I think so many times women just maybe are shy or don't have that confidence and don't put up their hand for opportunities, think, oh, well, my male counterpart could do this better than I can. I don't have all the skills. So it's really just having that confidence, and even, you might not have that confidence straight away, but it's just slow little bites, and ask. There are lots of other women that have been there. It's ask for help. I think it is really important, and I think that's probably where women probably are sometimes their own worst enemies, is actually we need to support other women and really help them grow.
And what does it take to stay in the finance sector?
I think probably grit, a bit of determination, and actually it's a really exciting sector to be in, especially in South Africa. Things are growing and changing, and it's a very varied environment. There's so many different roles. So I think doesn't take a lot. It really just takes determination, I think, probably more than anything else.
All right, Kim. Thank you so much for your time. That is Kim Gibbs. She is the CEO of Prescient Management Company. They're just giving us her insight there when it comes to her role in the finance sector, as well as women in the finance sector, particularly as we still continue our focus on women during Women's Month. And